Good morning. Welcome back to the Wake Up Call. I'm seeing what time it is. It's 25 minutes on to 8 o'clock. You've got DJ Jose and yours truly, Crystal, to take care of you this morning, to take you up until 10 o'clock this morning. I will tell you off the bat, this is a very difficult conversation, discussion to have. It is very difficult to talk about this. I'll tell you off the bat. I'm not going to lie and pretend to be like, I'm telling you off the bat. This is very hard. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Crystal. Well, I don't necessarily agree with you. It's a difficult conversation
I
to have.
think
I
it.
don't. But I respect your position, but I don't agree with you
Okay. Why not?
because it happened and it is complete through the process. And I will say to you that I know Justice Cutter quite well, and I think that he listened to the evidence put forward. And in my own humble opinion,
Mm-hmm.
I think he deliberated fine, and the finding of his presentation in terms of what he heard, I think is well done. To suspend and sentence
Mm-hmm.
but hey, Crystal, the issue of not pointing fingers and opening up any wounds again, right?
Mm-hmm.
It appears that the mother, from listening to what you read, went into the van before the child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's an accident was waiting to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
it is an accident that was unfortunate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you say it will take us back the memory lane where we have to be responsible as parents when we're taking our child to and from our way going to a passenger van. And
Mm-hmm.
you said that the said van which accidentally killed the child is the van that eventually was taking the child to the hospital, right?
Correct.
I believe from reading the article that the driver and conductor is remorse. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that the parent, the single parent, and you refer to as the mother, will recover. And I think the judge, after listening to all the evidence, is put forward to him in court because remember, public opinion is different to what is being said and how the court is going to sentence an accused person for an incident. It's just something that we have to learn from. We as parents, when we because I don't know if Crystal, but my mother and my father told me, and they were wrong. When we get to the crossing, I must look up, look down, and look up again. When I go to school, they tell me I must look right, look left, and look right again. And the police said try to make eye contact with the driver of the vehicle, and and before you attempt to cross the crossing. So when I was a child, I must have been confused. Mommy, who is responsible for me tell me to look up and look down? Then I
And
go to
then
the school.
teacher. Uh-huh.
There, so come on, it's frustrating. But today we are more fortunate that the children these days are born with an encyclopedia in their head because, and you might say, why is it so? I have a phone here, Crystal, and I find myself in a pub where they can't get the phone open. I see a child no more than 7 years old. I say, hello, excuse me, please. Sir, where you want? Where you want, sir? I say, I want this phone check out. Say, Crystal, before you Jack Robin, the phone don't open, okay?
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
they are born these days with a knack for
They're very
intelligence,
intelligent, yeah.
technology, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to be very proud of our children. Yes, there's a small minority of them who will fall through the cracks and
Mm-hmm.
who will go their ways, and but let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
The level of discipline I see demonstrated by children these days is awesome. I think that we are making strides and we are going there. And you say it's hard. You are a mom, and probably that is what is coming out of you. Because let me tell you something, Crystal. A mother will know his or her child commit a crime, and she will go to the court and cry, "Oh, he is innocent."
Mm-hmm.
The
That
love
is
of a
true.
mother, the love of a mother is
Mm-hmm.
extraordinary. The only person get more love from a mother is Jesus. Hey, Crystal,
Yes,
you
please.
have, and in closing,
Mm-hmm.
and out of humanity, I'm wondering how our mutual friend, aka Slider, is doing. I haven't heard him for some
Yeah,
time. I
yeah,
understand
yeah.
that he is recovering slightly, and if he is recovering, let's hope that he take that level of recovery for what it was, and let's apply the humanity and keep him in our thoughts. Remember, I didn't say
And
prayers,
press.
okay?
Well,
Have a
some of us
wonderful,
press. All right.
have a wonderful day, Crystal.
Same to you. Same to you, Kingsley. Thanks for calling. Now, if you want to call us 4571043, I would have read out the first part of the article that can be found on IWN SVG. All right. And I know a lot of people have mixed emotions and mixed responses concerning this story. So let us talk about it. But I believe at the end of this segment here that there are a lot of things that can be learned and a lot of things that we have to, some things that we have to highlight to prevent accidents from happening, to sort of improve the quality of customer service coming from the industry as well. There's some things that just should not be happening. Point blank. All right. Somebody says, "Hi, good morning. Happy Monday to all. It is so sad. Tears come from my eye." Some more responses. And if you want to hit us up, 430-1043. All right. Good morning, Crystal. I don't 100% blame the driver. I also blame the mother. She should have seen that her child entered the van first. This is something every mother should do, whether in van or on the streets. Good morning, Miranda. Here's another one. When boarding a bus with a child, you put the child in the bus first. Good morning. Good morning. To my extreme family, my heart goes out for both parties involved in this sad incident, but I think it's carelessness on the part of the mother too. That's why the bus has a conductor, and once the driver heard the door closing or he has given consent to go, he will eventually drive off. Sometimes I see a lot of parents and guardians walking, leaving children behind and boarding buses and then calling the child. This is so sad, but I blame the mother a lot too, and I'm just reading responses at this point. That's my take. May this innocent child continue to rest in perfect peace. Here's another response. The judge acted foolishly. Mother, conductor, and driver all should have been charged with criminal negligence. What adult would board a vehicle ahead of a child? Mommy getting a lot, boy. The mother is not without blame. Now, ideally, when you're boarding a minibus, a few things should happen before the driver moves off. You should be seated and comfortable. Ideally, this is what I think should happen. Either one, the conductor, there has to be some sort of communication between the driver and conductor. Either the driver listens for that door to close before he drives off, or he checks to make sure that everybody is seated. I think best practice should be door close, everybody seated, then you move off. I have seen it happen a couple of times. I catch buses very regularly. And I've seen it happen a couple of times where the bus moves off before the passengers are seated properly. Them things should not be happening. You have to understand that in this industry, you being seated in the driver's seat, you have a high level of responsibility as a driver. You are supposed to ensure at all costs that your passengers get to where they're going safely. Make sure your passengers sit down. Make sure the bottom connect with your seat. Whether or not your seat ain't too pram, it's real smooth, whatever. Make sure that your passengers are seated. Everybody who is supposed to come in the van, make sure they all get in the van. There are some excellent minibus drivers out there. But for the one or two in between, let me take a call. Hello, good morning. I'm not sure what's happening there. I'm not able to hear the caller. Very simple. Make sure they're seated. Conductors, make sure you have a responsibility too. You also have to make sure that your passengers are seated. Before you close the door, I have seen a couple times it happen where perhaps it's the very last seat in the bus. And I am not trying to justify anything or be on anybody's side. But I have seen a couple times where it might be the very last seat in the bus. And the parent would get in first. And then the conductor would lift the child and place that child in the parent's lap. I've seen that a couple times. Everybody had a part to play. Whether some things were taken for granted, a driver too. You got rear view mirrors. The door, you did not hear the door close. This happens one too many times. 4-year-old girl lost her life because a single you cannot bring back her life, but you can learn from this. Other van drivers as well, other conductors. Your goal is to take care of your passengers. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good day, my sister.
Hi, how are you doing?
I want to help you with this thing. I had a van for about almost 4 years,
Yeah,
so I'll
okay.
help you. And I'm very happy that you mentioned that you saw it happen a couple of times. But let me just say this: what I noticed having a van, I made a few mistakes and I corrected it. What you need is a little coordination between you and your conductor. But sometimes, one of the problems that we have is that sometimes you change your conductor and you don't have that coordination, because usually a driver and the conductor and the driver would have that nick, so he would know when to tell the driver to roll, and the driver would understand. But sometimes, in the chaos, when you're actually looking for other vans trying to run rat race and doing all kind of things, you can make errors. In terms of the parents, I've seen parents make the error many times, even as a driver, and I correct them. I say, no, make sure that child gets in safe. But sometimes the very parents themselves are so frustrated, could have been something that they make the wrong decision. Sometimes it is like the conductor would tell them, well, you go in and they would put the young one inside, and as you're saying, any parent, you have that responsibility to see that child is safe. And that conductor and that driver must understand, and you're saying it's a business. Chris, let me tell you something. I had a conductor. He was, trust me, very, 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 very professional. He would understand that when you treat these family members and you treat them good, they're going to come back and go with you. But the kind of a behavior we have now in vans, sometimes they don't care. But I am only saying is that mistakes can happen, and so you have to assess every
Indeed.
situation to see whether or not it was an error. Was it willful? It couldn't be willful. But I'm only saying here is that for our way forward, I think we need to really have some training for these conductor and drivers. The unions need to do more. We have to, not just for this incident, the other things happening, people putting their hand out the window, children putting their hand out the window. And so many times, is that the police itself, we got a little training with them, coordinate, we make sure we get our country. We are so divisive. But raising this matter, we should learn from this. We should learn from this and make our country a better place. Chris, tell me that there ain't no party with nobody. I am interested in seeing my country go forward in every aspect of life.
All right.
But if we work together, As one people, and now NDP, ULP, and all kind of
Okay,
foolishness.
all right. You're
If
straying
we
a little
work
bit now.
together, I believe, Crystal, we could avoid these things from happening.
All right,
Love
thank
you,
you.
my sister. Stay safe.
All right, big yourself. All right. Made some very valuable points. All right. So it's not every day we just disagree on stuff. All right. All right. Some responses coming in on the WhatsApp. Who on earth lets their child enter behind you when going into a minibus? At this age as well, mother should have been charged, and the driver has been let off big time. Another one, there's a rearview mirror in the middle of the van in front to see everybody seated before you move off, basically. Some more responses as well. The conductors once used a small bell to indicate when to stop and move. That went out of the window. You know who the first van I ever saw that in? I'm probably only. This is coming from somebody who's older than I am, but I saw that only van was Abdullah. The conductor used to have a bell, and I used to signal when the van would stop. I don't remember if it used to signal when the van would move off, but it used to signal when the van should stop. Yeah, that was convenient. Very convenient. At least you ensured one that the driver heard when the van to stop, and you will make sure that the conductor hear when to stop as well. All right. Here's another one. It's the driver and conductor's responsibility to ensure everyone is safe. The driver is the main safeguard of everyone in his vehicle. They should not release the brakes until the doors are closed. And I'm pretty sure that's in the bylaws for being a passenger driver. Even standing up, that was not to be legal, is it? What is happening? What is really happening? Sometimes I feel as though some of our drivers operate as if they are transporting sacks of potato. People. You're moving people. Adults, adolescents, children, infants, toddlers, babies. You're moving people. This story is quite unfortunate. But to prevent something like this from happening again, the child was not even in the bus. The conductor was halfway in the bus. You ain't even ensure. And this happens. If you are a regular passenger, I'm pretty sure you can testify that you've seen it happen before. The van starts to move, and the conductor running behind the van to jump in. Suppose something bad happens. Some people think it's all for entertainment, but it's not. Sometimes you see some of these conductors with their foot dragging outside on the bus, on the ground, while the bus is in motion. And for the passengers, it's okay. For the driver, it's okay. For the conductor, it's okay. Because it's all for show. This is a very, very unfortunate. The driver was made to pay $5,000. 6 years on, from this happening back in 2015, the mother is still suffering from complications due to stress. 6 years on. The article said that she lost 3 people in that same year. Six years on. The sentencing guideline is actually in the article, and the judge explains in depth how he arrived at the suspended sentence, at the $5,000, and at barring the gentleman from driving for the next 10 years of his life. You can go and check it out. All right. Here's some more responses. All in greed to make a few dollars, coming from Facebook at Extreme 104 SVG. I will nominate the driver and conductor of the big pink bus on as SVG's finest. The mother and the conductor as well have to be blamed, and the driver seeing how many persons standing at the roadside before stopping for them. All right. Some more. I'm wondering if the conductor sit on his seat and was watching for the child to get in. So the driver realized he seated and then drove off. Because if he was to lift the child, it won't. He would have held the child, and which part of the van hit her that caused her to fall. I feel the conductor have the most to say in this matter because he was partially in the bus. But isn't the driver supposed to wait until the door is closed to drive off? And remember, as a driver, he bears most responsibility. Most responsibility. Now, I figured that some people just joined. All right, so I'm going to go through a few points. Mother got into the bus. The child was boarding the bus when the van moved off. Now, you should have seen it. Once the van makes that forward projection, the door would slide forward. And that happened. It hit the child, she fell, and the van drove over her head. The good thing is, and I know this story, you're probably thinking there's absolutely no good that could come out of this. But at least he took the child to the hospital. He could have just left her there. He took the child to the hospital. And all that would have played a part in his sentencing. Now, you may not be in agreement with what he has received for causing the death of a 4-year-old child. But there are guidelines to be followed. In as much as we do not want to hear that he got a suspended sentence, in as much as we don't want to hear or we think that he got off, quote unquote, only having to pay $5,000 and 10 years of not driving, that ain't nothing. But there are guidelines. Was it the first time he's getting in trouble? What were the mitigating and aggravating factors in the case? What was brought before the court? All these things play a part in sentencing. But at the end of the day, many lessons to be learned. And I hope that passengers are taking note. Drivers are taking note. Conductors are also taking note. And most of all, the executive of Vintas. There are quite a number of things that need to be regulated in this industry. Quite a number of things that need to be improved. Quite a number of things that need to be done so that van drivers and conductors can benefit. All right? It's not all about one side benefiting. Everybody has to benefit. But something has to be done. Kingsley, it's easy for you to say that the child's mother will recover. I'm sure you have never lost a child. But imagine seeing your 4-year-old child being run over by a vehicle. And no more than likely that she's going to die. When do you ever recover from that? And I can't believe so many persons are putting blame on the mother. Crystal, you're right. That's normally how it's done. The conductor is not the mother. They go into the bus and the conductors put the child in her lap. It's easy to hear the story today and say the mother should have done X, Y, and Z. This is all recklessness on behalf of the driver. Think about it though. The mother is probably blaming herself too, which makes it hard to deal with. When I read this story, I thought that perhaps that might be what is happening. And probably she's heard a lot since that incident that she was the one to blame. Put the child in the bus first. This is the right thing to do. Maybe she was just so used to getting in first and the conductor picks up the child and puts the child in her lap. But on that day, that didn't happen. Maybe. Don't know what she was thinking. Don't know. But perhaps for the past 6 years, she's had to deal with guilt. She's probably had to relay or replay that incident over in her head. Day after day after day. You're sitting in a bus and you are feeling that bus drive over the head of your child. Could anybody really get over that? Could a mother get over that? How does she deal with something like that? Hearing your child bawl for her life is difficult. And then having to deal with the public who cast a lot of blame on her. A lot of things should have been done differently on that day. But this is where we are today. I wish the mother well. I wish the driver well. I wish the conductor well. Somebody says, I was waiting to be picked up by a friend. A bus stopped and the conductor hustled me onto a bus. To me, it's a lesson for drivers and SVG to learn from the driver. To learn from. The driver didn't intentionally mean to kill the child, plus he still drove the child to the hospital. Lesson to learn. All right? It's now 8:01. We're going to take a break right about now. Coming up in